Welcome, it's Denome, and welcome to this crypto update. Now, today is an extremely important update because we have a bunch of companies announcing Bitcoin purchases. Also, United States has made a couple of very good deals, making the tariff situation finally sustainable. So we're looking at all of the different news affecting crypto, and at the end of the video, we will obviously talk about the Bitcoin price, but also I will talk about one altcoin that you guys should know about as well. So look forward to that. Now, talking about the Bitcoin price, the biggest thing to look at, in my opinion, right now is this trend line here. And as you can see, we are now just touching this trend line once again. And when we touch it, Bitcoin will have a decision to make basically going into this weekend. If it breaks down here, there's a couple of scenarios that could happen. But there's also the scenario that we simply bounce and break the all-time high. So let me take a look at what has happened before when we have been in a similar situation. When Bitcoin was basically consolidating, it had a pullback and then a violent move back to the upside, and then it faced a similar decision time. Here we have a similar, basically the same exact setup. So here we had the consolidation, then the major pullback, and from there Bitcoin started to trend to the upside, and the Bitcoin price was basically almost at previous all-time high here, and then it went and touched the trend line one more time, and after that Bitcoin simply went on that parabolic move to the upside. That could repeat, obviously. Another time we saw a similar move on Bitcoin price is actually down here from the lows. And here you can see that Bitcoin, instead of having a very beautiful bounce, it actually decided to have a move to the downside, touching basically the previous local low. And from there, it finally had that parabolic move to the upside. So those are the two scenarios that, in my opinion, are the most likely. Now, I don't expect a major move to the downside anymore, but I'm expecting a small pullback. That is my base scenario for now. So I subscribe more to this scenario repeating rather than this scenario repeating. And I will obviously explain why in this video. So how low do I think Bitcoin will go? I think it should at least drop to this level here, which is roughly $93,600. That would basically take it to the same level we saw the first time we had a similar setup. So if Bitcoin goes to that level, that would be nice, but I think it will want to continue to move to like $89,000, and from there we go to the upside. Now, this is my base case scenario. Another way how we can get to the same situation is if over the weekend Bitcoin actually pumps to the upside, we tag the previous all-time high, then we move to the downside, and then we finally have that breakout. Now, obviously, we could just continue to the upside and break out and all these things that could happen, obviously. And if that were to happen, I have my conditional orders ready to be fired, and I will catch Bitcoin at the previous all-time high here. But if we have a pullback, I have some capital left that I will basically try to snatch these lows here. And on my leverage trading, I will try to catch this move as well. And if we see, instead of going straight to the all-time high here, and we have this even if we have a move to the previous all-time high, that will make it very interesting. So if we go up here and then we go to the lows here and then back to the all-time highs, that would give us a left shoulder here, the head, and the right shoulder, and that would be the inverse head and shoulders pattern. And if we would get that, then we would have a very beautiful technical target level for Bitcoin price, and that would take us all the way to my $155,000 Bitcoin price prediction, which I gave like a year ago or something like that. So this would be like a textbook version of how Bitcoin could go to that price level. Now that is basically my short-term base case scenario and what I'm expecting. Obviously, real life plays out like it plays out. So the best way to trade is not always these setups, but it is risk management, so that you are prepared for all of these scenarios when they happen, and you have an idea where the markets go as price reaches different price levels. So these are the scenarios that I'm currently playing with, but basically all of my scenarios is making Bitcoin go to all-time highs. So this does not mean that I'm completely in stable coins right now. It just means that on my trading portfolio, I am in stable coins. So waiting for either a breakout or that pullback, and then I will get in. And I'm currently DCAing into trades. So even now, some altcoins are having a pullback, so I'm buying back on those alts and trying to capture these waves as they come along. Now, going into the news here, and then I will talk about the altcoin at the end of the video. But before that, make sure to subscribe and set up an account on femex.com. Sorry, not subscribe. It is a free service, obviously. But when you use my affiliate link and you sign up, you get $4,800 in welcome rewards. You do not have to do KYC when you sign up, and the fees on this exchange are extremely low. There are trading bots, copy trading available, earn plans, and basically everything you need on an exchange. And it's good to have multiple exchanges ready, because some exchanges go down. You want to separate your accounts on multiple exchanges, in my opinion. Maybe have trading bots on one account, then do trading on one account. And overall, it's just good to have money in multiple places rather than just one. Now, going into the news. Strategy has bought $1.34 billion worth of Bitcoin. This is beautiful to see. We are expecting it. We were expecting to see this, obviously, because they made the announcement of the announcement on my previous update, which I highlighted, but now the purchase has come through. Then Coinbase has now joined the S&P 500 index, further improving the adoption of crypto. Beautiful to see. A French company called the Blockchain Group has raised 12.1 million euro to buy Bitcoin. A publicly listed Next Technology has disclosed buying 5,000 Bitcoin worth almost $200 million. So now they are holding almost 6,000 Bitcoin already. Very beautiful to see. Then a Latin America's largest e-commerce company called Mercado Libre has bought 400 Bitcoin in their strategic reserve. Beautiful to see. And a new holding company called Nakamoto has raised $710 million to buy Bitcoin, and they will merge with Kindly MD to establish a Bitcoin treasury company, basically doing the Sailor playbook on this company as well. Then on the smaller scale, we are seeing in UK, a company has raised $2 million to buy Bitcoin as well. So overall, I would say that these purchases, company purchases of Bitcoin, are accelerating. It feels to me like that. I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but I'm looking at these on a weekly basis, and it seems like these are becoming more and more frequent, which is obviously very beautiful to see. So overall, there's this massive buying pressure, and the United States government has even yet to start their own purchases. So overall, there's this massive buying all around. Then talking about the US and Qatar economic deal, this is very good on multiple fronts. First off, it's $1.2 trillion commitment. Now, when we talk about these numbers, you have to take them with a major grain of salt. From my perspective, when I'm looking into these numbers, like for some of the previous deals that Trump has made, with some companies talking about $500 billion or $200 billion deals, some of the companies are not even worth the amount of trade that they're talking about in those trade deals that they supposedly bring to United States. So what I think these numbers actually are is just some projection of the shared benefit for those two parties in a matter of a decade or 10 years or so, what it could mean. So from this number, maybe $200 billion actually goes into the United States. It is still good, but I think these numbers are massively bloated. And when they talk about a commitment, it doesn't necessarily mean even 10% of it gets fulfilled. But overall, I'm very happy to see that these deals are being done because it improves uh, peace in the world. And Qatar, I think this is the first time a US president has went into Qatar. So this is very, very cool to see. And hopefully there will not be an escalation from United States against Iran or the other way around. So this is nice to see. Another major thing which is nice to see is what happened with between USA and China. So I'm not going to talk about a lot of it because I think most of you have already heard about it, but just in quick terms, it is a 90-day pause, so they will drop the tariffs from China from 145% to 30%. Obviously, there's exceptions, but this is the base rate. And the imports from America into China, the tariffs have dropped from 125% to 10% for the next 90 days. And during this 90 days, they are trying to work out a permanent deal. Now, what I'm mostly happy about this is what China said after the deal. Obviously, Scott Bessent is happy about it. They want a balanced trade, but the Chinese Commerce Ministry said that this is an important step to resolve these differences from equal footing dialogue and consultation and further bridging gaps and deepening cooperation. So overall, I'm very happy to see this kind of dialogue because it is de-escalating the trade war so it doesn't go into proxy wars, even though I guess you could argue that China is in a proxy war through Russia already. But overall, I'm happy to see these are the moves that I want to see in the world. But overall, these are the major news. And now talking about the ETF purchases, what we saw here from yesterday was an inflow of $320 million. And this is very important from a couple of perspectives. First off, obviously, it is nice that it is money going into the Bitcoin ETFs, but when we look at the trend here, on the beginning of this massive move here to the upside, we saw massive inflows in the Bitcoin ETFs, and then the inflows have dwindled and dwindled and dwindled. And the day before, we actually saw an outflow of $96 million. So I thought, this looks uh, eerily familiar to what we saw here when the Bitcoin price was at the previous all-time highs. We started to see these negative numbers, and after that, Bitcoin obviously had a tumble to the downside. So I thought, oh no, we will see something like that again. And also, when we look at the total net assets in the US-based Bitcoin ETFs, this white line here, it is at the same $123 billion it was when Bitcoin price was at the previous all-time high. So from this perspective, you could argue that the ETF investors are already completely in Bitcoin. So who will now buy more Bitcoin anymore if they are already fully in? Now, obviously, not everybody is completely in on Bitcoin, but it just means that now new money basically has to come in that hasn't invested into Bitcoin before. But previous times they have obviously been breakouts. But from just looking at this chart, you could say that Bitcoin might be at a local top or approaching a local top as well if the previous ETF buyers are all back in Bitcoin again and no new investors are coming. But just keep this in mind. It is good, but there's also some signals here that the buyers may be becoming exhausted. So we will see how that goes. But looking into the fundamentals, and by the way, there's links for these tools in the description. But when we look at the supply of Bitcoin on exchanges, you can see that even as Bitcoin price is going up, the supply of Bitcoin is leaving exchanges. And this is very beautiful to see. It means that Bitcoin is entering into long-term hands, most likely. Because why else would you take Bitcoin out of an exchange rather than to put it into a safe holding place in your private wallet. So this is a beautiful trend. We like to see this. Fundamentally, it is giving confidence to the price move going to the upside. The funding raise look good. The stablecoin market cap is slightly increasing here, which is nice to see. I would obviously like to see more increase here, but it is also nice to see that it is at least slowly increasing to the upside. Then we are seeing some profit taking, unfortunately. So when we look at the blue line here, which is the holders who have held Bitcoin for more than 3 years and not moved their Bitcoin, we have seen some major moves here. People are taking profit. So from this perspective, I told you or warned you guys before that when you see old whales taking profits, that is usually signaling that the price move will probably have a pullback in the near future. So that is kind of what I'm still waiting for. But the profit taking has slowed down significantly. So there's that at least. Overall, there's nothing interesting to report here. Maybe on the yellow line, the 100 to 1000 Bitcoin holding wallets, they are actually increasing their holdings even as Bitcoin price is going to the upside. This is usually the proxy for the ETF holding wallets, and maybe even some companies are holding wallets in this yellow bracket here, but they are acquiring more and more and more Bitcoin, while everybody else is just zigzagging and doing all kinds of weird moves. The yellow line is steadily going to the up here. So this is basically uh, the buyers who have been just consistently buying throughout all of these moves, while everybody else has practically been selling their stash. The brown line, by the way, this is not the amount of Bitcoin in exchanges. This is simply showing us the total amount of wallets that have some amounts of Bitcoin in them, which is currently 55.10 million wallets. That usually likes to go to the upside. I just like to keep it in this uh, same view as the other information. That's about it for these fundamentals. Now for the short-term fundamentals, first let's take a look at the spot order book depth. And here we're seeing some small buying increase. The delta between the buy limit orders and the sell limit orders is now increasing to favor the buy orders, but not massively, just small amounts of buy orders. At the top here, we did see a lot of sell orders entering the order books, but as you can see, as the price revisited the same price lines, we're actually seeing a decrease of the delta of limit sell orders starting to favor the limit buy orders. So we are seeing, even as there's some people who are extremely happy to sell their Bitcoin at these prices, the amount of buy pressure basically eating up these limit sell orders, that is also increasing. So that is fundamentally speaking, this is very nice to see. So even though we are seeing this a lot of red, the red is diminishing even as the price revisits some of those previous areas. So that is good to see. So this would give me some hope that the price might go up. And here, when we look at the liquidation heat map, the three main areas where we see a lot of liquidation levels, obviously to the upside here, basically going all the way to previous all-time high here, we see quite a bit of liquidations. So 200 million, 400 million, 400 million, 300 million, 500 million, going all the way to previous all-time high here. Then we have another liquidity pocket right below the current prices, below $100,000, going basically all the way down to $99,000. 400 million, 500 million, about the same amount on each side. And then this is the major liquidation pocket here. Here you can see even $1 billion at $92,600. So this is the area where I would really like Bitcoin price to go, so we can get a lot of these whales back in the game and buying Bitcoin. But it doesn't mean we have to visit these areas, but this is where I would like to see Bitcoin go. Another reason why I want Bitcoin to go there, I showed this on the previous update video as well, is when we take a look at the Bitcoin futures. gaps. We are seeing a few gaps here, $97,000 roughly, and also here at $91,000. So I would like to see these both basically be taken out, and that will basically just allow new money to come into the markets. So these are the main areas to look at. Now, in the short term, like I told you guys, I would really like to see a pullback and then I push to the upside. But because we have those liquidations, ETF started to buy again, we might actually go to that previous all-time high and from there have that pullback. But overall, altcoins, if we have this pullback, most likely will not do well. So when we look at the uh, Bitcoin dominance chart here, we saw a major pullback from this range high here, which meant that altcoins were outperforming Bitcoin. But now, if Bitcoin has a pullback and we break that trend line, I do expect a Bitcoin dominance to go up. And these are not the exact levels, but this just gives you an idea what I will think will happen with the Bitcoin dominance. And when Bitcoin has that recovery, then I will think that actually, actually, I don't think that anymore. What I think will happen is altcoins will take a breather and they will not have their bull run until Bitcoin breaks the all-time high. When the Bitcoin breaks the all-time high, then I think altcoins will have a move after that. And another reason why I think this is actually a local bottom for Bitcoin dominance is when we take a look at the RSI on the daily level. You can see when the RSI went below 30, that was at the area where Bitcoin dominance had a major move to the upside. And now we're basically right above 30 level here. So potentially a bounce from here. So Bitcoin will most likely have the next move anyway. So altcoins are not probably going to be doing that well against Bitcoin in the next week or few weeks. Now, going into the altcoin that I wanted to talk to you guys about in this video, it is called a Tron Network. Some of you already know about this, but I want to highlight it once again. A year ago, I told you guys about this. It was 11 cents then. Now it is 27 cents. And in my opinion, it is massively undervalued still. So currently, when you look at the amount of stablecoins running on Tron, you can see that the stablecoin amounts are now $74 billion of stablecoins are running on Tron. This is a massive amount compared to the market cap of Tron Network itself, which is only $26 billion. So roughly, there's 3 times more stablecoins on Tron Network than the network is even worth. But all of these stablecoins are generating revenue for Tron, and I like it for multiple reasons. Number one, it gives value for the Tron network that it hosts these stablecoins. Number two, whenever a stablecoin is transacted on a Tron network, it generates revenue for the chain, giving it value. And also it hedges against the downside, because even if cryptos crash, the stablecoins do not crash in value. And that gives a solid valuation for Tron network, and that is why you don't really see major pullbacks in the Tron price here. We did see this massive bubble here when Tron network price went from what was it like 13 cents to what is it 40 cents, something like that. Uh, then it obviously had a big pullback, but that was not like a fundamental value. But now you can see stablecoins since January have massively increased, while the chain value is steadily increasing as well. So we are nowhere near a bubble territory in Tron network price, in my opinion. And Tron Network, they are also acquiring Bitcoin in their strategic reserves. They are partnered up with Trump with the WLFI project, and they're gaining regulatory clarity across the board. There might even be an ETF coming to Tron Network soon. And the other fundamentals for Tron is when we take a look at the Tron supply, it is actually deflationary. So currently there's roughly a 0.5% deflation on the Tron supply on a yearly basis, which means each day there's less Tron to go around, which makes the remaining Tron more valuable. And if you think that more stablecoins are roughly 200 million more stablecoins come on the chain on a daily basis, but there's less Tron on a daily basis, you can make the calculation in your head if you see the fundamental value of the Tron token itself. Another way you can get value or capture value from this chain is if you actually stake Tron, because the chain is generating roughly $2 million worth of revenue on a daily basis from all of these massive transactions. And the revenue is used to burn the Tron token, but the other half for using this revenue is the staking yield that Tron stakers get. And you can easily stake Tron on justlend.org. I will put the link in the description. By the way, this is not sponsored content. I'm just telling you guys what I'm doing with my Tron tokens. So I've staked my Tron tokens here, and I'm holding this staked Tron token. And when you simply connect your wallet here, you basically choose how much Tron you want to stake, and then you stake, you immediately get the staked Tron. But if you want to unstake, you can either unstake with a 14-day unstaking period, or you can go to a swapping protocol like sun.io and swap your staked Tron tokens into Tron tokens or USDT or whatever you want. That will give you a little bit more fees, like 0.8%. But if you plan to hold Tron token for more than a couple of months, then you probably should hold the STRX token instead of the Tron token. So I'm mostly holding the STRX token because it generates such a good yield on a daily basis. And I also capture the upside potential of the Tron network. So overall, Tron network is something that I've been a fan of for a year now, and I don't really understand why I wouldn't be bullish on this, because if Trump actually is making United States better, then USD is probably gaining more value at some point in time. And if we see a recession, if we see a market crash, USD becomes more valuable, and that also makes the Tron network more valuable because it hosts so much of USD. So these are the reasons why I'm bullish for Tron network. Let me know in the comments if you agree with me or not. But that's basically my pitch for this token. Let me know if you are becoming a Tron holder like myself or not. But overall, I think the next move is gonna be Bitcoins, either to the downside or upside first and then downside. If we just simply break these all-time highs, I do have conditional orders ready to be fired at the all-time highs. I will basically lose out on the value that I might get had I bought here at $100,000 and $200,000. But overall, I just would like to see this move first to the downside here. But obviously, I'm hedging, so I'm uh, uh, my investments are mostly in crypto right now because on long term I am bullish, but on my trading accounts, I'm basically dollar cost averaging to the downside here if prices fall. But that's it. That's it for this video. Hope you liked it. Consider subscribing, leave a comment down below, use the links if you like, and I will see you on the next video. Thank you and bye bye.